It's a great honor to meet you. So, if I remember correctly, I recall that you said we are living our lives because we are born, not because we are trying to reach for our goals. But let's say in the future, we develop a technology where we can upload our brain into the online server, then would it be a moral thing to do so? I'm asking this question because, like, say 200 years ago, once someone gets cancer, then they probably have to die. But nowadays they can do a surgery. But in that point of view, it would be unnatural thing to do. But nowadays, no one will say like he's doing anything unnatural. And then I know in Buddhism, like committing suicide is kind of like a crime, committing a crime. So I wanted to hear your opinion about this. And thank you very much.
So opinion on?
About that, like whether we should try to upload our brain into the online server to not die, basically.
네, 그럴 수 있습니다.
I think that's possible.
그게 뭐가 문제예요?
I don't know what's the problem.
그렇게 되면 어때요?
So what if that happens?
Then that means we'll have to live forever. And maybe I'm asking because I'm not ready for it.
그게 왜 영생입니까?
Why is that living forever?
We're uploading our brain and then maybe it's not going to be deleted.
두뇌 서버 올라가서 다른 곳으로 전이가 되면 다른 사람입니다.
So if your brain has been uploaded to the server, it's a different thing, then you become a different person.
만약에 수정란 하나를 세포 분열을 해서 여러 수정란을 만듭니다.
Say that in an IVF situation, you take a fertilizer from more eggs and you can create separate embryos, right?
그래서 여러 여성에게 자궁에 넣어서 아이를 낳게 한다고 합시다.
And say you have a lot of different women serving as surrogate mothers, so each woman bears a child.
생긴 건 똑같습니다.
They all look the same
유전자 배열은 똑같아요.
because they come from the same embryo.
근데 어머니는 다 달라요.
But all their mothers are different.
또 그리고 태어난 나라도 다 다릅니다.
And they were born in all different countries.
같은 사람입니까?
Are they same people?
그런 사람입니까?
No, they're different.
그런 사람입니다.
They're different.
우리가 이렇게 얼굴 모양은 달라도 생각이 비슷한 사람이 있어요.
So we may look different, but some of us think similarly.
그럼 같은 사람입니까?
Then are we the same people?
그래서 그건 아무 문제가 없어요.
So I don't think there's any problem with your example.
여러분들도 다 꼭 그렇게 온라인상으로 다운받는 건 아니지만 여러분들 다 다운을 받고 있습니다. 지금.
So in a way, all of us actually have either uploaded or downloaded. We haven't done a whole brain, but we're actually engaged in this partially.
여러분들 어머니 품에서 2, 3년 자라면서 다 어머니의 심리적인 앱을 다 다운받아서 지금 쓰고 있는 거예요.
So in a way, living with your mom, being raised, for example, if you're raised by your mom, then you have kind of inherited the operating system of your mom.
한국인 아이로 태어났습니다.
So I was born as a Korean kid,
근데 태어나자마자 일본에 입양이 됐어요.
but I was adopted to a Japanese couple as soon as I was born.
그래서 일본인 어머니 품에서
So
자랐습니다.
I was raised by a Japanese mom.
그러면 이 사람은 일본인일까요? 한국인일까요?
Is that kid a Japanese kid or Korean kid?
일본 사람입니다.
Of course, he's a Japanese kid.
근데 우리는 너무 혈통적으로, 동물적으로 여러분들이 지금 분리합니다. DNA 검사해가지고 아버지다, 누구 아들이다, 딸이다, 이거는 생물학적인 검색입니다.
So in a way, we engage too much in a classification or taxonomy based on blood or DNA.
이것은 올바른 게 아닙니다.
I don't think that's the right approach.
우리는 생물학적으로 우리 인간을 평가할 수가 없습니다.
We can't judge ourselves or classify ourselves purely biologically.
이것은 일본에서 있는 지금 아주 큰 딜레마인데요.
And this is a huge dilemma that Japan is actually facing.
남자가 병자가 불임입니다.
So,
뭐라 그래요? 그 무정자증을.
so men, he is infertile.
그래서 애를 낳을 수가 없습니다.
So the man cannot father a baby.
그래서 정자은행에서 정자를 구입해 가지고 인공소정을 해서 만약 아기를 낳는다면 아버지는 전혀 담지 않게 되지 않습니까?
For example, so if the wife actually got, donated sperm from a sperm bank and gave birth, then the child will not resemble the father at all.
그러니까 일부에서 이 남편이 아버지의 정자나 또는 형님의 정자를 받아서 인공수정을 시켰습니다.
So in some cases, they took the sperm from a sibling, a male sibling of that infertile man, in order to artificially inseminate the women.
그러면 그 아이는 아버지를 많이 닮게 됩니다.
In that case, the child kind of looks like the dads because they were brothers. The sperm donor was a brother.
근데 그걸 만약에 DNA를 검사하면 어떻게 되겠어요?
But if we were to do a paternity test based on DNA,
이 아이는 내 아들이 아니라 내 형제입니다.
that child is not my child, becomes my sibling or cousin
아니면 내 조카가 됩니다.
or cousin.
이것은 올바른 게 아니지 않습니까?
But that's not the right classification, is it?
이것이 현행의 가정 법률과 이 현실의 큰 모순입니다.
So that's a contradiction we see with the legal definition of that relationship and what actually is.
인류학적으로, 즉 정신적으로 여러분께 말씀드리면
From a cultural anthropological perspective,
내가 기르면 내 아이입니다.
if I raise that child, it's my child.
엄마란 것은 생물학적으로는 낳은 자지만은 인류학적으로는 기른 자라는 뜻입니다.
So a mother, biologically is somebody who gave you actual physical birth, but a mother from an anthropological perspective is somebody who raised you.
우리가 지금 기른 자의 DNA 생물학적으로는 부모의 DNA를 받듯이 우리의 정신적인 이 앱은 심리의 기저인 자아는 주로 기른 자로부터 다운을 받게 됩니다.
Because, from biology perspective, we receive our DNA and genes from our biological parents. Having said that, we actually inherit the operating system that defines who we are as a self from those who actually raised us.
그래서 후설령 그것이 가상 어떤 로봇에다가 다운을 받는데 해도 아무 문제가 없습니다.
So, going back to your question, even if we could upload our brain to a server, online server, I don't think that's going to pose any problems for us.
우리가 과거에 인간의 마음, 정신이 어떻게 작용하는지 이런 것에 대한 무지일 때 영혼이라든지 이런 생각을 하고 있기 때문에 이게 모순인 것 그렇게 하면 안 되지 않느냐 하지만은 아무 문제가 없습니다, 사실은.
So before in the past, when we as human beings still hadn't realized how our brain functions or how our mind functions or consciousness acts, we thought there was some kind of eternal soul that defined who we are as individuals. But nowadays, I don't think there's any contradiction or any ethical dilemma to uploading our brain to a server.
잘 알지 못할 때 형성된 과거의 종교, 철학 이런 것에 의한 우리가 자아관을 갖고 있기 때문에 모순인 것 같지만은 진실에 입각하면 아무 문제도 없습니다.
This feels like a contradiction, and we're hesitant about this use case because we are still kind of judging and evaluating the use case based on past religious or ethical or moral framework based on our ignorance at that time. But the closer you are to knowing the facts and the truth, I think the less contradictions we have.
다만 그렇게 할 거냐 안 할 거냐는 우리가 의논해서 결정하면 돼요.
The only thing that's left is whether we want to do that or not, and we can decide collectively through some kind of collective dialogue.
그것이 꼭 좋다고 할 수 없기 때문에.
Because that use case is not necessarily good.
오늘날 사람들이 자기가 말한 대로 여러 가지 약이 개발되거나 수술이 개발돼서 수명이 많이 길어졌지 않습니까?
For example, as you rightly pointed out, modern medicine, different medical procedures have lengthened our lifespan.
그게 꼭 좋은 거라고 생각하십니까?
But do you think that's necessarily good?
지금 한 80에서 100살 정도로 이렇게 수명이 연장돼 더 많은 사회적 문제가 발생하는데 한 500살까지 산다면 어떤 문제가 생길까?
For example, we're facing a whole slew of issues because people are living longer. Our lifespan is like 80 to 100 years. So just imagine if people could live up to 500 years on average. What do you think is going to happen?
개인은 그것을 원할지 모릅니다.
Individuals might want that to happen.
그러나 전부 다 우리가 그렇게 된다면 어떻게 될까요?
But what would happen to this world if everybody lives to that age?
보통 문제가 아니에요.
That's not a small problem.
지금 부모가 옛날에는 60에 죽으니까 부모를 모셔도 부모 죽고도 얼마든지 자기 인생이 있는데 지금은 부모가 100살을 사니까 80된 아들이 부모를 모셔야 된다. 이거 불가능하잖아요.
So basically, before people used to their lifespan was about 60 years old. So if you had to take care of your elderly parents, you still had your own life to live after your parents had passed. But these days, if your parents live to 100 and you're obligated to take care of them, then you see 80-year-old sons taking care of 100-year-old parents.
옛날에는 아이들을 7, 8 낳으니까 자식이 부모를 돌본다 이게 가능하지만은 자식을 안 낳거나 한 명 낳는데 어떻게 부모를 돌봅니까?
And before in agrarian societies, you had 7 or 8 children, so it was possible for children to have a division of labors in taking care of their elderly parents. But these days, we only have 1 or 2 kids, so that's not as possible.
그렇기 때문에 이런 윤리관, 도덕관 이런 것도 다 변화된 사회에 따라서 다시 바뀌어야 합니다.
So in that sense, moral framework, ethical framework, they also need to evolve along with the society as it evolves.
세상은 바뀌었는데 우리들의 관념은 그대로 유지되고 있기 때문에 거기에 모순 때문에 혼란이 옵니다.
So the chaos confusion happens because of an inherent contradiction between the world has become with what the ethical and moral framework that we develop in the past. That's for a world that's no longer here.
그래서 너무 걱정 안 하셔도 됩니다.
So my conclusion is that don't worry too much.
그러나 어떤 더 나빠질 수 있는 가능성이 있는 건 우리가 막아야 합니다.
But those things that in activities that we engage in that might lead to bad things is something we need to stop.